In this video, we're going to have a look at how to insert an image into your post using a shortcode. So the image is saved using a MetaBox custom field on the page. So to demonstrate, I'm going to edit the page, scroll down. There you can see the image that was uploaded. I'll choose a different image. I upload the image and I update. And then, of course, when I view the page, the image is displayed, but I don't want to display it as a thumbnail. I'd like the image displayed in large or medium. So what I'm going to do now is edit the page and change the size in my shortcode. So at the moment, the size is thumbnail. I'm going to change that to medium, update, view the page, and now you'll see that we have the medium sized image. And if I edit that again and I change the size to large and I update, you will now see that we have the large image in our page. So that's what we're going to achieve in this video. So first things first, what we need to do is create a field called image. And what I've done is I've created this field group called images. And in fact, what I'm going to do is delete this field group. So let's go to custom fields. I'm going to delete. And I'm going to add a new field group. So let's trash that and recreate from the beginning. So let's delete permanently. Right. So let's just, okay, it looks like that item has been deleted. Let's refresh. Yep, it has been deleted. So I'm going to go to custom fields and I'm going to add one and I'm going to call it insert image. And what we're going to do now is before I add the field, I'm going to go over to settings, and this particular item I'd like to add to the post. And I'd like to add it to a page. So what I'm going to do then is add another location, and that'll be page. So now whether I'm on a post or a page, I'll be able to use this feature, and we publish that. Now I'm going to head over to the field, and here you can see there are no fields. I'm going to add a field, punch in image. I'm then going to go to the default image option, so just image. And there is our ID. So I'm going to leave the ID exactly as it is. I'm not going to make any changes anywhere to the information, and I'm going to update. Right, so now when I head over to my post to edit, and I say edit page, I have this option to choose a file, and I'm going to choose a file and update. And refresh. So you'll see that my image is there, and then when I view the page, you'll see that we have this error message, and that's because although we have the shortcode applied here, we're getting the error because the ID for the image has changed because I deleted the previous one. So we've created the shortcode. So then what I'm going to do now is head over to my snippets, and all I need to do here is update that to the latest ID, and now when I view the page, you'll see that the image is displayed in large. Now let's have a look and see how we did this. So there are two aspects to this. One is retrieving the value of the image, and the other one is then applying that to the shortcode. So the first thing that I did is I went along here to the MetaBox documents page, headed over to image. Now I only wanted to upload the one image, so I scroll down, and you'll see here, in case you want to get only one image, use the limit parameter for the helper function. So I just took this code and copied that into my shortcode. Now I'm going to have a look at my function. So I'm using snippets to add the function to my website. And there are a couple of things here that we need to do first. The first one is we need to set up the shortcode, and the second one is to add the code that we received for the image to be displayed. So I'm going to delete that information, and I'm also going to delete that. So when you're setting up a shortcode and you want to have adjustable parameters, this is the basic that you need. You can of course give your function your own name, so that's what I'm calling this function, and then you need to add attributes and content equal null in between those brackets. Then we have the opening and the closing brackets for the shortcode. So here we have the shortcode, and because we want to adjust the size, what we do is we create a variable, and I've just called it B, and that then holds the shortcode attributes, and they're in the form of an array, and the only array that we have at the moment is size, and the size is equal to, or not equal to, but the size contains the value of the size of the image. Now at the moment it's set to thumbnail, so we've set the default size then to thumbnail, and then we say that the parameters are equal to shortcode attributes, the variable B, and then attributes, and you'll see that the attributes are also here included when we create the function. Now what we want to do is output the value. So if you want to output the value of a shortcode, the best way to do it is to return the value. So I'm going to return a value here, and I'm just going to say hello. That should be between the inverted comma, and I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to save the changes. So now when I go and have a look at my page, I'm going to, if I refresh, you'll see that we just have the word hello output. I'm going to edit the page, and you'll see that there's my shortcode, and in fact, because we're not referencing the size, I can just say insert image, view page, and you'll see we have the word hello. So now I've tested my shortcode, and I was able to return the word hello. So I know the shortcode's working. Now what I can do is add the information that I'd like to add to insert into my shortcode. So what I did is, you'll remember that we went along here, and I'm going to copy that code because that's the code I need to get the image information. I'm going to head over to my snippet, and now I'm going to paste that into my snippet. Of course, the formatting won't be 100% correct, so we're just going to update that. So we can get rid of that. Right, so let's just go through this from the top. So the first thing that we have is images is equal to rwmb meta, and this is the ID of the field for the image. So I'm going to head over to my meta box field group, and here is the ID, and I'm just going to copy that default ID, and I'm going to replace that in the in that string, in that code, and now you'll see that we have this array, and the limit is just limiting the output to one image. But what we also need to do is output the size, so comma, and you'll see that if we head back to the documentation here, if we want to input a size value, then we need to add this into the array for the value. So I'm going to head back now, and I'm going to add that to the array. So now we have the size, but I don't want to output the size of thumbnail. I want to output a size that I set in the shortcode, and this value of size is going to be the reference that I use in the shortcode to output the size. So I actually need this to output the size that we want to use based on the shortcode. And by that what I mean is, if I head over here and I edit the page, then I want to be able to go size equals and insert the size here, and then have the shortcode output the image in that particular size. So what I need to do is tell it to output the parameter size. So what we're going to do now is take parameter, add a shortcode here, and what we're going to do now is insert size. So what it's going to do now is going to fetch the value for size. Then what I'm going to do is put in the image reset images, and here I'm going to return the value, and the value I'm going to return here will be I can call it whatever I want, so I'll call it image details, and that's going to be equal to, and of course now we need to add some HTML and some PHP code, so we do that like this. Take out that echo, and now we're going to return the image URL value here, and of course we don't need any of this, and then we close off that by doing that. Right, so what we're saying now is that we're going to take those image details, we're going to pop them in here. So now we're going to return the image details, and in this case the image details will be the source. So I'm just going to copy that in case there's an error when I save. Right, so that's fine. So now in a perfect world, when I head back to the website and I refresh, we should see that image in large. If I edit the page and I change that to medium, and we update and I view the page, we should now see that we'll have the medium size. And because we have a default size here set to thumbnail, that means that if I edit the page and I remove all of that and I update my page and I view the page, now you'll see that the thumbnail is displayed. If I want to set this to a specific size, I could go, let's say medium, save the changes, and now the default size is set to medium. Right, so that's how we can quite easily insert that in a page. So you'll remember that when we created the field group, under settings we said apply that to a post or a page. So what I'm going to do now is just copy that shortcode, and I'm going to head over to posts, and I'm going to add a new post. Let's call that new post, and then we're going to add a shortcode, paste in our shortcode. Let's publish the article, and let's have a look and see if that worked. And you'll see that there's no image, and the reason for that is because we didn't upload an image for the post. So simply scroll down, we don't need that. I'm going to choose a file, so let's choose this blue file, or let's rather choose something more relaxing, and I'm going to update the post, and now when I view the post you'll see that the image is displayed. If I then want to change the size, we can equal and inverted commas and large and update. Oops, and then when I view the post now you'll see that we have the large image. It's only displaying that size because of the width of the content in this particular post. So that's how you can create a shortcode using the meta values, and in this case we're just outputting the image so that we can display the image in our post. If you wanted to add more parameters to that, then you can, and some of those other parameters that you could add, well, here's a list of items that can be output. So if we wanted to, we could even set the width and the height of the image, the full URL. So you'll see here that we output the image URL. So we've output the image URL, we've accessed that value, but you can access the other values. If we wanted to, we could also output the title for the image with the image. We could add a caption, we could add a description, we could even allow users to insert an alt text. So in this case, maybe what we want to do, we could, for example, add the alt text. So I'll show you how that works. Maybe we can do the title and the alt text. So what we can do here now, if we want to add more parameters, then is head over here to the parameters for our shortcode, and I'm going to add alt, and we'll add, and I'm just going to leave that empty so that we don't have a default value. And then we have a title, and then what I'm going to do is also leave that blank. Then down here where we output the image details, we have the source equal to the source is the image URL, and the next parameter that I'm going to add then will be alt, and that will be equal to a value. And then we're going to have the title, and that will be equal to a value. So inside here now, what I need to do is add some PHP. So we need to then do it like this, adding in that inverted comma. Right, and in the middle here now, I can add the next item. So you'll see that we have the alt equal, and now what I can do, I'm just going to copy that. But the parameter that we want to output here under alt will be alt. And then over here, we're going to do something similar. And then the parameter here that we want to output is going to be title. Right, so there we have those particular items. And you'll see here that we have this error indicated, and that's because we didn't put the inverted comma in. Right, just a tip, if you're using code snippets, I like to copy the code before saving, just in case something goes wrong. Right, so there we have our image. Now when I refresh the page, you'll see that we are coming up with a image source issue. So let's just have a look here. That's because we've included all of this according to what we have. So basically what we need to do is we need to have this inverted comma, and we need to have that before the next item. Just close it off. We've closed it off there, and we've closed it off there. So let's just copy that. Right, let's just have another look now, and we should have our image back. Now we're just going to inspect the image, and you'll see when we inspect the image that we have no alt information and we have no title information. So I'm going to now edit the post and add those details. So edit the post, and now I'm going to go with some alt. So, and a title. So now the alt will be, the alt text will be beach dinner, and the title romantic beach dinner. Update. Let's go and view the post. So you'll see nothing's changed. Now when I inspect, you will see that we have beach dinner and romantic beach dinner are now included as the alt and the title as we have it here. So you'll also notice that in the title there was a bit of a space before the first word. So to eliminate that, we can just move that back one, and on our alt we can do the same, and we can do the same there. Save the changes, refresh the page, and now you'll see that the alt and the title begin right at the beginning of the inverted comma. So that's how we can add those elements to the image. If you wanted to add an href, if you wanted people to click on that link and then go somewhere else, so perhaps you wanted to link them to a different website, or a different page on this website, then you can do that. So in order to do that, I'm going to show you how we do that here. And in this case, what we're going to do then is we'll just call it link. And the link will be as follows. And what I'm going to do now is add the ahref. Now that's going to be a separate tag which wraps around the image. Now I already have this image information looking good, so I don't really want to mess with this line. So what I'm going to do now is actually add another row with image details. I'm going to just copy that, and because I'm wrapping it, I'm going to put the opening ahref tag at the top, and then I'm going to put the closing ahref tag at the bottom. So in order to do that, the second equal, we put a full stop in front, and now what will happen is it will take the first row's information, join the second row's information, join the third row's information. And what that says is that this information, although it's in different rows, all belongs together. So we'll close that off. And then here, we're going to put in the ahref tag. So A, and let's close that straight away. So A href equals, and now because this is going to be a parameter that we're taking from our shortcode, we're going to add some PHP code here. So we know that we need to put in, close off with the little single inverted comma there. And now we need to put in our parameter. So we're just going to copy params here. We're going to drop it in there, and that parameter will be link. So now we have the link, and we see it indicates an error. So let's just have a look and see where our error is, and that's because we haven't closed off the line properly. So I'm going to copy that, save the changes. That's great. Now when I head over to my post, before adding anything, and I inspect, you will see now that the ahref is there, but there's no value, so it's not showing anything. So if I want to see what, or add the value now, I'm going to edit the post. I'm going to head over here, and I'm going to add another item. We're going to call that link, and I'm going to say we'll make that and just link that to my website. So right, we'll update that. Now we're going to view the post, and you'll see now immediately that there is a link, and if I click on the link, it's going to link through to my website. But the whole thing is that we don't actually want it to open in the same page. So let's go back one, and now we want to set that to open in a new window. So what I'll do is I'm going to create a new item for my shortcode. So I'm going to call this, let's call it new window. And I'm going to leave it at the default of yes. So now this is where it gets a little bit technical, because before the sizes are pretty normal, but now we know that it needs to be underscore blank for a new window. So if we're going to start using values, then we need to run a bit more coding. Otherwise, we just want the person to say open in a new window yes or no, and the default will be yes. So in order to make that happen, we can't use the word yes in here, because that's not going to work. So what we can do is make the default underscore blank. That way it will always open in a new window. So what I'm going to do now is then add that to my href argument. And what we're going to do then is, and then we put in our, we must first close off. And now what we need to do is add our parameter. And we're going to make that new window. And save the changes. So when I refresh the page and I open, you'll see it opens in a new tab. And that's by default. So if I go into my post now and I go, for example, new window, and let's say I put in no, for example, which we haven't catered for, and we view the post and I refresh, you'll see that it's still going to work because that's the default, and the code that I'm entering is not actually HTML code. So to make it more user friendly, we have to do a little bit more work. So you'll see here that the target is underscore blank, and over here, new window, and over here we also then have the new window equal to no. So what I'm going to do is just see if removing the space has an effect on the output. So we're just going to put in an underscore, and now what we'll do is we'll update and we'll view the post, and now we're going to inspect the post, and now you'll see that it's working. So having the two words in our shortcode resulted in the default always being used. Now what will happen is, now no is not a target keyword for opening a tab, so of course the behavior is not going to be what it should be. So in order to make that work, we need to add in a little bit more into the equation here, and that would be to have the user actually enter the word yes or no. So I'm going to go over to the edit post, and let's say we wanted the user to say yes or no, and we're going to leave it on yes as the default, so it will always open in a new window. So the default here will be yes. So if I don't have that in my shortcode, so if I take that out, it's no longer in my shortcode, and I update and I view the post and I click on the image, it's always going to open in a new tab. But maybe one day I want it to open, because I'm linking to another page on the website, and I want it to open and I want that new window answer to be no. So how are we going to make that happen? So what we're going to do then is do an if statement for that parameter. And what we're going to do is right here, before we start, we're going to say if parameter size equals yes, and then we do the opening and the closing brackets. So if the parameter size is equal to yes, then we're going to create a variable, or let's make no, if parameter new window is equal to yes, then we're going to say let's make a variable open equals underscore blank, and then else if, and here we're going to copy and we're going to say no, then open is equal to top else, and if anything's entered except yes or no, open is equal to blank. So we've kind of covered all the bases. So that's one way of doing it. We just copy that, and then what we do, before we go, so now when we go to the href target, the target now is going to be equal to that variable we created, and that's called open. So now we're saying the target is equal to open, and we're going to save the changes. So now if I go into my post, and it looks like we have an error, but I'm going to just say open window equal, and what was it, a new window, and let's make it yes. Let's update, let's view the post, and there's just an issue on line number 12. If and that's because we didn't put the yes like that, so we need to wrap that correctly, and now what you'll see is that that error will be gone, and you'll see here now that the target is equal to blank because we entered a yes. And so when it'll open, and now when we change that shortcode to no, so new window no, let's update that, let's view the post, and let's just go and have a look, and we did the same thing over here. So just a syntax error, add those inverted comma, refresh, right, that's gone, and now you'll see that the target has changed to top. So when I sorry, not top, it should be self. So underscore top, sorry. Save the changes now, refresh, and now you'll see that it opens in the same window as we had before. So if I wanted to link this to a different item, I could quite easily now just copy that link address, maybe go over to my post and change the link here to a page on the website, update, let's view the post. And now you'll see that when I click on the link, it'll take me to, let's have a look. So you'll see that there's no reference in the href. Let's edit the post. And the reason is because of the inverted commas. Right, that's now correct. So now it'll open that page, news category 1. So that's how you can create a shortcode with parameters. And in this case, we've applied those parameters to our shortcode. The one thing we didn't test is if somebody enters anything except yes or no. So let me go to edit post. And so then if this was none, view the post, you'll see it opens in underscore blank, and that's correct because we said if it's not yes or no, then underscore blank is the answer. So that's how we create a shortcode. We created these parameters for our shortcode. We then set the size. We've added the alt information, the title information. We've even added a link to an external page or the same page, and then we've even said how to open that window. And those parameters are then applied to the shortcode that we use on the page. And if I was now just to use the shortcode without any of the additional parameters, then the defaults would apply, and the default in this case is going to be as follows. So the default is going to be the size of medium. There's no alt, there's no title. The link in this case though will be blank, and the new window will be underscore blank. So if I have a look at the code now, you'll see that there's no link, even though the target is set to underscore blank. So it's just going to load the page in a new window. So perhaps what we should do is put in a default for the link, and we'll just put in a hashtag. And now we'll refresh the page, and so now we have this link. It's still going to open in a new page, so we don't want that to happen. So if we don't want a link for the image, now what we'll need to do is set a condition here to check what that link is. So what we could do is now do a condition similar to this. So we can say if, and leave that blank. So I'm going to open up a new if statement here. So if, and we're going to go link is equal to blank, then open So this gets a bit tricky now because we've got the link that we want to set to the default. So if the link is if there is no link, we don't want the ahref to appear at all. So if the link is set to that, then what I'm going to do now is go to my output, and so what I want to do is remove the ahref. So now what I'm going to do is replace the ahref with a variable link details. Right, so what are we going to do now is we're going to say that if it's blank, then the link underscore details shouldn't be in my shouldn't be appearing in the output at all, actually. So link details so if they're not equal to nothing, then the link details will be equal to that information. And what we can do now is Right, so what we're saying here, if the link details aren't blank, then we're going to update the link details like that. So we're going to save the changes. And what we're going to do now is edit the post. Right, and there's no link details. So what I'm going to do, we're going to close that. And let's view the post. So now we have no link. So when we inspect the image, you will see that we have no link details. When we add link details, so I'm going to edit the post. And we're going to give that a hashtag. We're going to view the post. And now you'll see that we do have link information. And there is the hashtag. What you'll also notice then is that the target is not stipulated. And what we're going to do then is move this to below those arguments for the link, so that when we refresh, now you'll see that those parameters are applied. If I go into my post, and I'm going to make the link somewhere, so let's go let's make it a link to a website, and then we're going to use new window, and we're going to set that to no. We'll update that, we'll view the post, and now you'll see that we want this to open in the same window, which it does. And if I go into edit the post and I don't put new window in, or I was to enter yes, the link would open in a new window. Right, so that's what we've done here, is we've essentially created a way then for the information for the link to only be put through when there is a link. So we don't have a link appearing when the post or when the image doesn't have a link associated with it. So if there's no link associated with the image, and size I'm going to equal to large, we'll update, we'll view the post. So now there's no link, and I don't want people clicking on it and going anywhere, and so they won't, the link will only apply then when the link is available. So that's a rather long video to show you how you can build your own shortcode, and then pulling in the image, you can then insert that in your post. So this is now on the post page, and you'll remember that initially we worked on the images page. So here's the images page. Let's refresh that. Now there's no link associated with the image at the moment. So now I'm going to go into that page, and this is just a standard page, and what I'm going to do is let's go size equals large, and link equals, and in this case we'll just link it back to that page. Then we'll go new underscore window equals no, alt equals the alt text, and title equals the title. So there we have the title, new window. So we've pretty much covered all those bases. Let's update that. Let's view the page. So we'll have the slightly larger image, And of course, if I inspect the image now, you'll see that we have the image source, we have the alt text and the title text. And if I click on that, it's going to open that in the same tab. So that's how we can set up our own shortcode to apply that to an image that we can then insert on the page with those parameters. And what we've done here is we've actually taken an image from Metabox and used that as the reference for the image to be used inside our content. Well, that was a rather long video, but I hope you found it useful, and thank you for watching.